terms of TikTok, obviously this is a video only platform and it's from 15 seconds generally to 60 seconds. Now, with the greatest success on these videos between 13 and 17 seconds, that's where you get the greatest engagement. All right. Now, the question here is simply binary. Does your business work with video? Because if so, TikTok could work. Not will work, could work. All right. Secondly, platform growth. This was what I was talking about. How old is this platform and how quickly is it growing? Because this can be a great indicator as to how quickly your profile, your company, and your engagement is going to grow, and also plays into this risk versus reward concept. Now, the third element of this is the ideal outcome. What are you trying to get from being on this platform? Now, one thing I'll mention about TikTok here is sometimes it's not going to achieve all your goals. It's going to do some things extremely well, better than any other platform, but on other things, it's going to suck real bad. And I'll go through that in a little bit of depth shortly. All right. Now, the thing here is understand your goal. Are you looking to generate brand awareness? Are you looking to generate traffic, or are you looking to convert people? And can this platform that you want to go in on, can this platform achieve that? Fourth, risk versus reward. Now, within a business, I'm sure everyone here, provided you have a business, is you know that your time is very, very precious. And the question becomes, how much time can you allocate this? Is it going to be successful? Or am I going to get better results by doubling down on something in a different field that's going to produce higher, I guess, conversions there? So really, really important to see how this and what strategies you're implementing, how those tie into that. Number 5, the paid advertising platform. Now, organic is just one spectrum of things, and TikTok has a very, very interesting paid advertising platform. But when it comes to conversions, there may be a few other things that are going to tie in even better here. So does your strategy include paid advertising? How effective is the paid advertising platform on the platform that you're trying to go to? And lastly, ideal audience. And this has probably been the number one question around TikTok. Is my ideal audience out there, and can I readily get these people? So is your demographic even on this platform? Now, in terms of the top 3 platforms right now, and more so within my specific industry around e-commerce, I would rank them as being TikTok. Now, this is more in terms of an organic strategy and more so being within the e-commerce space. Now, what that kind of boils down to is how you want to approach things, whether you want massive brand awareness or whether you want to tailor your strategy to be straight conversion focused. Now, this is more around brand awareness because as most people know, long-term business is going to play out better if you have a good brand wrap. And people see your brand as being extremely credible, but also, you know, you as a business owner need to perform on that front. Okay. So really, really important to consider that. Now, the first platform, TikTok, obviously really, really big talk right now. Now, this is the latest platform to the social media giants. TikTok has taken the world by surprise and quickly emerged as a platform leader. All right. Platform number 2, Pinterest, and not one that I'm going to be speaking very more about on this talk, but after many years of being an extremely undervalued platform, Pinterest has kind of followed in the steps of LinkedIn. After years of refining their platform, they've found a really, really niche spot where if you're in something that's a really creative industry, whether that be service-based or whether that be product-based, if you're something creative where you can show a very, very visual thing, the organic outreach on Pinterest is ridiculous. It competes very, very heavily with TikTok in terms of organic outreach, provided what you can do is creative, people can like it. And lastly, in terms of top platforms right now, would have to be Instagram. Now, although the platform is becoming quite saturated as bigger players come into this, it is still an exceptional platform to get some really, really great Results fair. Now, in terms of Instagram, this is more around the paid advertising, but there are definitely some subsectors within the organic platform that can play out really, really well. All right. So really, really important to understand that a platform can be the fastest growing in the whole universe. But if it doesn't have your ideal client, you will be wasting your time. So don't chase the opportunity, chase your ideal client. If those things overlap, you have struck absolute gold. But if they don't, and you're on a platform that doesn't have your ideal person, or sometimes they can be trickier to actually access on there, sometimes it would be more worthwhile going on a more reduced platform that actually has your person on there. So just think about that. Now, thirdly, content is king. Now, although content-only strategies are typically quite hard to succeed with, content will always play a very, very big role in actually how you are successful. Now, regardless of what strategy you take, you are always trying to please a human, and humans love great content. Really, really important that regardless if you're paying for ads or you're doing something organic or you're reaching out to people outbound even, content is going to play a huge role in your success because it shows how professional your brand is. It shows how great your product is. It can communicate benefits faster than anything written. So really, really important to keep that in mind, that great content is always going to win no matter what strategy you take. Now, have you guys ever just sat back and just watched an ad and been like, this is the best ad I've ever seen, and you can just watch it multiple times over? You just absolutely love that. That's what you're trying to get, because if people love your content, they're more likely to share it. It gets viral, and social media metrics being a very, very social game, they like that because they'll share that, and then you'll get a lot cheaper returns for creating that content. So few reasons why you need really, really great content. Now, firstly, you need to stop their scroll. One thing that's really, really important about new age marketing compared to more search-based marketing is that we're trying to interrupt people. These people are casually strolling through, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and then all of a sudden they've been hit with this ad, which could be completely irrelevant to what they want to watch. So it's really important that you understand that you're interrupting these people. So the first thing you need to do is stop their scroll, because if someone doesn't think your content is great within the first second, they're going to scroll past that and just forget you. So really important that you need to scroll past it. Otherwise, they won't even have the context to come back and see you. So first reason, you need to stop their scroll. This person is avidly going through their feed. Really, really important that it's bright, it's bold, and it captures their attention. Reason number two, you need to build massive credibility. Now, what I said on the last slide there is that content is the quickest way to communicate how credible your product, your service, all of that is, because everything visual just happens a lot quicker. When let's say a cold caller calls you compared to meeting a salesperson in person, when someone calls you on the phone, their brain takes 4 seconds to determine, I like this person or I absolutely hate this person. Now, when it's visually, it goes from 4 seconds to 0.4. So you need to build that massive credibility extremely quickly. You need to look professional, and you need to look like the most enticing thing ever. Okay. Now you have a finite amount of time to grab their attention, show them exactly why you're great, and then convince them to buy some stuff. Only the best content can do that in one hit. Reason number three, you need to be memorable. Now, if someone can forget your content, they can completely disregard you. If your content is memorable, though, they could be back. Not they will be back, they could be back, because they may not buy straight away, or they may not even purchase at all. But if someone needs your product and they remember you, you have the best chance of converting that person. Okay. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff, the TikTok masterclass. So what I'm going to go through is, I guess, some basics of TikTok. Now, one thing Nick was mentioning earlier was a little bit about paid advertising on TikTok. Now, I really believe that one of the great opportunities on TikTok is not so much the ad platform, but the organic outreach that you can get on there. Okay. Now, why this is because the TikTok ad platform is directed directly at big consumers. Okay. Their basic ad platform, which converts at 1 to 3% click-through rate, is very, very similar to what you receive on Facebook. Now, where you get the biggest bang for your buck on TikTok when it comes to the ad platform is when you do a brand takeover, which Nick was looking into a little bit earlier. A brand takeover, the minimum spend on that is $50,000 US. Now, for small businesses like us, generally it's not the most cost-effective thing to spend $50,000 in one day on a brand takeover. Now, the second thing is a branded hashtag takeover, where you essentially have a hashtag challenge that they get top influencers to jump on. These things can generally last a week. They're really, really hot trends. People get on them, and brand awareness just spreads like wildfire organically. But these branded hashtag takeovers, they start at $200,000 US. So when it comes to the ad platform, even the most primitive platform, the CPM costs on there are generally about $10 US, which CPM, just to break that down for you, that's cost per 1,000 impressions. Okay, so for every 1,000 people who get eyes on that, you're spending $10 US. Now, when it comes to Facebook, they have a more variable marketplace where sometimes you can get things at $8 all the way up to kind of 30. All right. Now, if you do your research enough and your niche isn't as saturated as other ones, generally you can be pretty competitive what the CPM is on TikTok. Now, the great thing, well, I guess the difference between the two platforms is that the Facebook targeting and retargeting more so is a lot more powerful than what you get on TikTok, being a more primitive platform. So the true beauty around TikTok for small businesses is more the organic side of things. So that's more so what I'd like to focus on here. How you can really emerge on the organic side of things. All right. Now, TikTok is still an emerging platform, and for the right business can make a tremendous difference in their marketing ROI. Not so much dollar ad spend, but creating content for the platform or allocating some kind of a staff member, marketing manager to create things on there. Now, but there are some really crucial things to consider before jumping on this platform. Okay, now let's look a little bit at the TikTok demographics. Now, we've just recently hit 1 billion users worldwide on TikTok. All right. Now, one thing to consider here, 66% of the platform is under 30. So quite a young demographic, but don't be disheartened. There are definitely older people on there. And in terms of my 90,000 following, I find that actually 62% of that 90,000 are over the age of 35. So my demographic, it shows that you can actually target an older demographic on there. Now, the average daily use, which is absolutely insane, these are the latest numbers that have come out, is 52 minutes per day on average, and that on average users are opening the app 8 times per day, which is just mental. And 90% of the users use the platform daily, which, to highlight a few things here, 1 billion users, that's 1/7 of Earth. So that's just goes to show that this platform is quite big and is probably in a stage where it's going to start really heavily transitioning into being a transactional platform, which is great for business owners, not great for consumers because they're going to get hit with more ads. But it's great for you because the ad platforms are going to get more powerful and you're going to get more bang for your buck when it comes to these things because of more advanced targeting, but also from an organic standpoint, it means that there's going to be more business owners on there for those B2B people. And for the consumers, the platform is always growing and it's at a point where it's probably not going to go backwards too far. All right. Now, in terms of the engagement, TikTok is by far, compared to the other platforms, the most addictive. People on other platforms, because of the nature of it, the constant scroll. Literally, I'm not sure if you guys have TikTok, but you can literally scroll for hours. One, you won't get bored. Two, you'll never run out of content because it's very, very well targeted to what you've watched. Okay. And the last point here is the platform is global, which is good for some people, bad for other people. Now, thankfully, there is quite a big demographic in Australia. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but last time I checked, I believe it was about 12%, but I could be totally wrong there. Please feel free to check your own facts there. So the platform is wait, that doesn't make sense. If there's a billion people on there, it definitely can't be 12%. What's really important here is the platform is global, which if you're trying to straight up hit a global audience and your business can go global, it makes a lot of sense to be on here. But secondly, if you are in, you know, a more local type business, or maybe you're national, you can still get really, really great results on a national level. Now, here's a few questions to ask, and goes back to my last slide. Is TikTok good for me and my business? So first question to ask, is video content going to work well for your business? Secondly, the platform growth is good. So not something to really be worried about there. Ideal outcome. Now, when it comes to TikTok is a little bit limiting around the conversion piece. But when it comes to brand awareness, it's probably the strongest platform, especially if your business is deeply rooted within being a personal brand, okay? Risk versus reward. Can you actually allocate some time here? And is it going to be worthwhile your time based off those first 3 points? If you can do video content, the platform is working well and you can achieve your ideal outcome on there. Does it make sense for your business to go on to here? But the last thing to tie into that is obviously the ideal audience as well. Is your ideal client even on there? So basically ran through that there. So 4 tips for the hashtag platform. Okay, now the first tip is hashtags. Much like all the other platforms, TikTok has hashtags. Now, the key thing about TikTok hashtags is they're not essential. Much like the Facebook ads algorithm, where there's this massive pool of an audience, TikTok really hones in on who's going to be most likely to view your content. Now, sometimes that can work really well for you. Sometimes it can work really, really poorly. Now, why that kind of differs a bit there is because if the people who are initially watching your content, if they aren't the type of people who are going to buy your product, and those people are still watching it, TikTok is just going to throw your content out to those people still. All right. So if you feel the wrong people are watching your content, it could be a good idea to add in some topic related hashtags on there, something I'll be going into a little more depth. Now, secondly, post frequency. Being a new platform, being a more organic strategy, post frequency becomes really, really important. And probably the number one question I get around TikTok is, how often should I post on there? Now, the answer is, if you really want to grow on there, if you really want to succeed and it's a direct focus for you, the answer should be, like with any content strategy, post as much as you can, provided it makes sense. So up until a point where you can test something, if you're still in that testing phase, or if it's working really, really well for you, post more and more. But I would recommend a minimum of 1 post per day, because that's what the TikTok algorithm favors. It's very big around consistency, more so than the older platforms like Instagram and Facebook. They don't really care too much about consistency, but they do a little bit. TikTok is very, very heavy on your posting consistency. Now, the next question is what to post. And this is exactly why I think content is a really, really big thing to talk about. Content is absolute king. Now, TikTok being a more playful, creative platform, and the native content on there is really fun, it's quick, it's exciting. It's important that your content does exactly those things as well. It's important that the content you post on there is platform relevant, but also ensure, to get any kind of result on there, that your brand is communicated effectively, and not so much just the brand, the products, communicating the features and stuff, but also the brand values there. But also, it's really important to do this in the right way, because if people consume the right content in the wrong way, it can also lead to very, very poor results. And lastly, strategy. And one thing I get asked a lot here is, what's the best strategy? And then that's where it stops. Now, with TikTok, with any platform, with any marketing, there's lots of different strategies, and all of them have different objectives. So I believe it's important to use multiple strategies and optimize for a few key objectives. So what I'm going to go through is a few key strategies to optimize for certain elements of your marketing within TikTok. Now, the four most important strategies, well, like the four most common strategies and conversions that you're trying to optimize for, is one, to grow your awareness and people who track you. Two, your content engagement. You want people to engage with your content. Three, traffic. And four, conversion. Obviously, getting those purchases and ensuring that, people buy your stuff. Now, strategy number one, growing your following. Now, this is foundational to your success, because no followers equals no marketing, which means no sales. If people can't consume your stuff, then it becomes very, very hard to sell them some stuff. So really, really important here with this strategy, really important to use relevant hashtags, use things related to what you're trying to communicate, so that the right people see it. Because if the right people see it, they'll consume it right. They'll be more likely to follow you, which then boosts more stuff out to TikTok. Create content that makes people curious. Now, with a front end stage, it's really important to make sure to create content that makes people want to stay along for the whole ride. Okay. And have a clear reason for people to follow you. Will they get more value? Whether that be comedic value, strategic value, whatever that may be, they need to get more value. All right. Strategy number two, content engagement. Now, if people can't relate to you and don't want to engage, they will never purchase from you. So it's really, really important to ensure that you need to create engaging content so they can relate to you. Now, same again here, use relevant hashtags, target the right people there. Create content that makes people feel engaged and empowered by watching that content. And one really, really quick key thing, ask questions. If you ask questions, people are more likely to engage, and they're more likely to increase their watch time, which on TikTok is a really incredible metric. Okay. Watch time plays out more like effective for getting your outreach out there than likes or comments, which is reverse to any other platform, really. Strategy number three, generate traffic. If you want people to do an action, they better get something in return. So this is about communicating that value and the potential value they may get from doing something. So really important here, let's get really clear. Have clear messaging and call to actions, and obviously make sure that it makes sense. Make sure they will benefit for making or doing anything. All right. And get personal. Now, this is a really, really important place where TikTok Lives would be a great tool. Although TikTok is the best platform to grow your brand awareness and to grow engagement, when it comes to generating traffic and converting things, this is where going on a personal level plays out really, really well. And TikTok Lives are an incredible tool for this. And lastly, generating sales. For people to buy, they have to have one thing, certainty. And around those three things that I mentioned earlier, one, certainty around your product, two, around your company, and three, around the platform they're purchasing it on. If you can make someone certain about those and they need the product, there is absolutely zero resistance for that person to buy from you. Strategy requires repetition, repetition, repetition. Now, the one thing why Facebook retargeting works is because they get the same message that they need this thing, which instinctively in their head, they know they need. It works. All right. Now use other tools, like I said. So what you can do is bring multiple strategies in, multiple platforms like the Facebook Pixel to retarget. It's a really, really incredible tool. And lastly, whenever you're communicating someone to make some kind of buying decision, make sure it's emotional, which means you want to communicate the benefits. What outcome is this person going to get by purchasing your stuff? And that weird acronym at the end there means what's in it for me. That's all the customer cares about. So make sure you communicate that with them. All right, one strategy is never going to work by itself. Each piece of content, so really important, breaking it down to a content specific level has to achieve a goal. So something to grow followers is not the same piece of content to get conversions. They're on completely opposite ends of the spectrum, where to grow followers, you want to make people curious, all right? But to convert things, you want to reinforce some certainty that that's something that's going to benefit your audience. Get creative. TikTok is great for exposure, but the best way to convert is to get personal. Rather than having clear call to actions every single time, make sure that you communicate it in a personal level rather than buy. It's communicating benefits and then asking. All right, so the $1 million question, and this is a very, very basic strategy. How do I win on TikTok? So this is essentially what I did to grow from 0 to 90,000 followers in 90 days. All right. So my simple formula, 1 to 10 posts per day. Now, if you're doing greater than 3 posts